Welcome back, everyone, to Eternal Midnight. This is Erica.
This is Santino.
This is Chad. What's up, guys?
Hope you're all doing good. So today, this is part 3 of the Conjuring month. Today, we are covering The Nun and The Curse of La Llorona, aka the most boring movie I've ever seen. I just watched that now. It was fast. The Nun was freaky as hell. But since La Llorona was so boring, we're going to get that out of the way first and start discussing the trash that was.
Very blunt.
I know. Chad, why don't you go first? What did you think of the trash that was La Llorona?
It was the most, forgettable thing I've ever sat through. Like, I've met people in my life who they've told me they're like, the most boring movie on the planet is like Napoleon Dynamite. And they're like, they're like midway through, I've already forgotten what I've seen. And when it's over, I look at the clock and I go, I just lost an hour and a half of my life that I can never get back. That is exactly what The Curse of La Llorona is. Like, I bought it last year on Black Friday because I saw it for like $3. And I asked a friend of mine, I was like, oh, this is part of the Conjuring universe. I didn't even know that. Is it worth it? He's like, no, it sucked. I'm like, well, it's $3, so maybe he's exaggerating. So bought it in November, brought it home, watched it some random Saturday in December, and yeah, I think a few hours later, I had forgotten almost everything I'd seen. I frankly, I don't. That's why this one's the worst, because at least with Annabelle, I remembered things when I finished it. This one, I just forgot it all. There's nothing. I mean, at least the first Annabelle had the Charles Manson and the psycho girlfriend killer, and it had the basement scene and the elevator. This one's got nothing. This one has no memorable scenes, no memorable characters. The only link they have to the whole Conjuring universe is the priest who's in it for like 2 minutes. So it's like, this movie it's got nothing. It's got nothing to offer, in my opinion.
I agree. Santino, what about you?
Boring as fuck, I swear. This movie was just atrocious, terrible. The one I'll disagree with Chad on one point, because the one thing I did like from La Llorona, the positive thing I liked, was Linda Cardellini. I think she was great, and I think her as the mother trying to protect her kids was a really nice motive, and it's a great character for her, and she gave it her all in the shit script that she was given. But yeah, that's it. That's why I was telling Chad earlier, I disagree with La Llorona being the worst. It's the second worst. The worst is Annabelle, because Annabelle has no good acting whatsoever. This one has one good actress in it, and I can okay, I can enjoy it. In fact, La Llorona came out here April 19, 2019, and didn't get enough money at all, because Avengers Endgame next week just steamrolled it and destroyed any chance of it getting profit. So there that is. I mean, it's just boring. It's boring. It's forgettable. There's nothing scary about it. There's no memorable scenes. It makes you just want to can we skip this one and just go to The Nun already, because that's really more interesting.
The funny thing with La Llorona is, I think I was looking up the budget. It only cost $9 million, and it made 123. So I mean, it turned a major profit. So it's like, I don't know why. I personally don't know a single person who saw it in theaters. I didn't even really know it came out. I think I heard something about it, but they didn't even advertise that it was part of the Conjuring universe, which is why I didn't see it. If they'd advertised that it was part of it, I might have. But, so, I mean, I guess while it wasn't successful, I mean, 123 made against 9, that's still not bad. They still made money. I just hope they never do anything with La Llorona again, because they destroyed their one opportunity.
Or maybe they can, except that make it better like Annabelle Creation.
Yeah, bring in the guy who did Creation, David Sandberg. Bring him in, clean stuff up, give us a real horror film again.
Yeah, like I said, I literally just watched it today. And when I was messaging Chad, I was like, I'm about to watch La Llorona, and then I think he said to me, "Have fun falling asleep," and he was so right. I was so I was so bored while watching this. Like the first big scare was so Anna, who's the mom, when the beginning she finds those two little boys that were locked away, and she thought that their mother was like hurting them and they were hiding from her, or she locked them up, and so they're sleeping at some kind of government facility type thing. I don't really know the exact details of where they are, but these two boys are there, and one of the boys goes into like this spooky green light lit hallway. And the other boy follows them, and then you know how there's those like security mirrors that are in corners in some places, they're like kind of like round.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah, and then it cracks. They look at the mirror, there's like this music, and then it cracks, and then the boys look down, and there she is, and she like screams at them. And I started laughing. I don't know why I started laughing. It's weird. Usually that kind of stuff startles me, but it didn't startle me. It made me laugh because it was like, you see the green spooky lit hallway, and you know something's going to happen, right? Yeah. It was boring. And the like, faith healer guy, Raphael, that actor, like Raymond Cruz, I have seen him do some really good stuff, but he was like a robot. He showed no emotion. His acting, I don't know if they wanted him to play like that and didn't realize that he was a dumb character, but he did not look at all like someone who cared about helping this family get rid of this cursed bride person.
He was the exact opposite of the character that he played in Breaking Bad. In Breaking Bad, he was full of charisma, energy. And in this, he was just like, he almost had a look on his face the whole movie like, what the fuck am I doing here? How did they rope me into this shit?
Raymond Cruz was Tuco, right?
Tuco, yeah.
Oh, and Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Okay. And the music. If there had been better music, I would have been able to enjoy it a little bit more, but it was nothing. There was nothing that caught my attention. But like seriously, when I was watching it, I was like, some kind of creepy, eerie version of Here Comes the Bride could have been so good there. I liked that idea, and I don't understand why this musician didn't think of that.
Yeah, because almost all the other Conjuring movies have at least like one specific music piece that really sticks out. Like Conjuring, it's the music box. In Annabelle Creation, it was You Are My Sunshine playing really creepy. The Nun, it was just the score all around. And in this one, yeah, no memorable music at all. Nothing that stood out that like you can just hear a piece of it and immediately connect it with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't anything that stood out. It just, I mean,
It was a wasted opportunity.
The makeup too wasn't even all like, they could have made La Llorona look so much creepy. They could have made her all gory and disgusting, but she just kind of looked like a beaten up bride in a way that, oh, that sounds horrible. Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh, no, it's fine. She really looked like trash. I didn't like her design at all. I mean, like, you look at the nun. It's simple but effective.
The one scene that I liked is the bath scene when Sam, their daughter, is in the bath, and La Llorona comes, and Sam thinks that it's her mom, and she goes and starts like shampooing her hair, and you see like the creepy gross fingers in her hair, and Sam still thinks it's her mom, and then she goes to rinse out the shampoo in the bath, and then the La Llorona goes and like starts drowning her. But like, I don't know, that's just one scene that I think was well done. They could have made it scarier, but it was eerie, you know. But yeah, that's it. The rest of it was just that.
Trash.
yeah, I've honestly got nothing more to add.
Yeah, same.
Okay. So let's move on to The Nun. Oh, The Nun was, it scared me. It was. We'll go into my opinions after, but Chad, why don't you start us off about The Nun?
Okay, so The Nun was one I was so pumped for this because it was like we'd all seen her in Conjuring 2. By the time that was done, they'd already kind of like announced that the Nun movie was coming, that we got another little touch on her again in Annabelle Creation. So they were like really building up this movie. And I just remember like getting real pumped for it. And then the day that the Rotten Tomatoes score dropped, I was just like, whoa, that is way lower than it should be. But I still went in excited. And this is one of those movies that I walked out of like really, really enjoying. And I got home and I found out I was like in the extreme minority. Like almost everyone hated this movie. And I was just like, in some areas I can see why, but I was just like, I still do. I still love this movie. It's like, I love the main character being played by Vera Farmiga's younger sister, Tiza Farmiga. I thought that was really cool. I thought she did a pretty good job. Frenchie, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He was the side character. I thought the main priest, father, whatever, I thought he was, yeah, I thought he was serviceable. And I thought the nun herself was honestly, I thought she was terrifying in this movie. I love how it dove into the lore of where the nun came. Personally, I think that would be an awesome movie to see when back in the Middle Ages, when basically like hell was being summoned during the Crusades, when the church came in and shut it all down. That would be a really cool prequel, I think, to see at some point. So I will agree that there are some of the jump scares, are they are overdone. But some of the complaints I've seen, I think, are genuinely like almost invalid. Like some of the complaints I've seen are like, why don't these characters just leave if they're going through all this hell? And it's like, that's why they're there. They're there to stop this. This is a priest and a nun there to put an end to this demonic activity. They have a job to do. They can't just leave because they're scared. This isn't like the first Conjuring where it's a family terrified in their house and they can't leave because when you own a house, you can't just move out. Where are you going to go? You have to sell the house and all that. So it's like these people were there for a purpose. So that complaint's thrown out. But it's just, and like I said when we were talking La Llorona about the music, the sound, the score of this film, the score is one of my favorite parts, and it adds so much to it. Those dark, evil, Gregorian-sounding chants. And it's just like, oh, it's just all around. So I think the movie looks great. I think the story is pretty cool. I think it would be cool to get more of these characters, but I don't think that's really possible. I think their stories were done. Like I said, I'd love to see a prequel, and I'd love to see the nun come back in a future movie. So I'll give you guys a chance. Go ahead.
We'll have Santino go next, but first I'll just let you know the cast here. So we have Taissa Farmiga as Sister Irene. We have Demian Bichir as Father Burke. We have Jonas Blockett as Frenchie. And then we have Bonnie Aarons as the demon nun. And the director is Colin Hardy. And the composer is Abel Korzenowski. I think that's how you say it. But they did incredible as the composer. That was incredible. But that's our cast. So, Santino, why don't you let us know what you thought of The Nun?
Well, when I first saw it, I was like, well, going into it, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do this because, like, I've been reading the reviews and it's not really that good. And I was like, maybe I should skip it. And then, like, it was the first week of college, so we had a free period. So me and a couple of blockmates wanted to do a small block bonding session. So we went to watch The Nun, and I actually ended up really enjoying it. I mean, like, it's certainly not the best of the Conjuring franchise, but it's not as bad as everyone says it is, honestly. Like, the jump scares were getting a little too annoying by the end. But if you peel that back, there's a lot of interesting lore and good stuff and great set design. That's what stuck out. The monastery looked great. I love how it looked. I love how the monastery looked. I love the way the design of that evil Mother Superior girl, the black veil, that was kick-ass. I love the score. I mean, like, score's been mentioned before, but those Gregorian chants were like so good. The acting was like out of it. I'm not saying it's like, Joaquin Phoenix Joker or something like that, but like Taissa Farmiga did a very good job selling the character as this like nun who hasn't taken her vows yet. This priest was struggling with this boy who he failed to save from an exorcism. And Frenchie, who honestly like had a great comedic timing in some scenes. And the lore was nice. I mean, like, the demon, like as Chad mentioned, the Duke racing hell and the Crusades during the, coming in to stop it. That's a very nice background for the nun. Gives her a lot of depth and brevity. and of course I did like some of the scares presented, like the boy with the snake coming out of his mouth. I was like, whoa, that's kind of fucked up. Like, where did that come from? And then I like the eerie stuff where like Frenchie says that he laid the body staying down, but when he came back, the body was sitting up. Like, oh, whoa, who did that? So that was pretty cool. The twist, the main twist in the movie, just want to discuss it a bit. The main twist where where the sister discovered that all the nuns were fake, that there were no actual nuns. Remember that? Like all the nuns were fake.
Yeah, where they were all dead.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty well done, because the demon nun herself is capable of making visions, as evidenced before. So the fact that all those nuns were actually twisted and they're actually alone, that there was no one there else, that was insane. I was like, I actually really like that one. Of course, the ending twist where it ties into the Conjuring universe is also okay. That's nice, but I like the first one better. So yeah, and I love Frenchie's line, the "You're gonna die, Frenchman," and then he says, "I'm French Canadian," and he like. I was like, hey, nice.
That's one of my points here. So for me, The Nun, I was going into this really scared because Santino and Chad really got me nervous for it, because Santino is like, it's going to scare you more than all the other ones, and it did really scare me, but it scared me in a much more different way than The Conjuring or Annabelle creation did, if that makes sense. In that, like, it was a completely different vibe and feel for the story, and it was I would say of all the movies, it was the most eerie. Just the setting. I totally agree with what Santino said. The cinematography and the set design was amazing. Like the way they filmed it, where they filmed it, everything that was taken care of there, that was on point. Music was incredible. I would say of all the Conjuring movies, this has the best score in my opinion. I loved it. It was very, very, very good. Acting was really good. The gore, they did a good job of making everything, all the gross stuff, look gross. And I really liked it. I liked it in that it was such a well done movie. I was surprised when you guys said that there's people that don't like it. The jump scares, I would say of all of the movies, I had the most jump scares. I screamed the most. Screamed out loud. I had my pillow in front. I had like when you know how when there's a jump scare, you almost kind of know it's gonna happen usually, but sometimes you don't. I had my pillow just in my hands, ready to like hide behind. And then once I did hide behind, I had to go back because I actually wanted to see the scare, but then I was prepared, so it didn't scare me. But I still wanted to see how it looked, you know. Exactly. And I think it was really, really well done. The first scene that freaked me the fuck.
Oh, that was when she was like coming down the hall as that one young nun was about to kill herself, and all the candles are going out, the music is playing, and she's like sobbing because she's terrified, and she just jumps and kills herself.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that intro. That's one thing that I forgot to bring up. Every single one of the supporting cast of nuns, I will say every one of those women did an amazing job of just portraying absolute fear on their faces, the way they spoke. Every single one of them did such a good job, I thought, of just portraying they were terrified beyond explanation. And it's like, that's why it was like when it was revealed that they were all dead, it was like, wow, the nun portraying these visions on the main lead was just perfect. It was like, how can we scare her as much as possible?
Yeah, I agree. The other scene that I was going to mention, though, was the scene when Father Burke, it's their first night, and he goes to the graveyard. And then he ends up in the coffin, and he's buried underground in the grave, and he's like flipping out. Oh my God, that was like it didn't scare me. It was more just one of those moments of like angst where I was like, holy shit, what is gonna happen? How is he gonna get out of there? And it was just, and then when the hands came out on the sides and like grabbed his face, oh, that's one of the ones that made me scream, of course. But that whole scene that just stuck out. Like I think that was such a good like start of seeing how creepy and scary this place is. Yeah.
For me, a scene that really scared me was when well, it's the vision part where like the nuns are still like hallucinations. So like Kaisa Formiga goes in the chapel, and she sees the body of the dead nun there. Like, and we all have to start praying. We all have to start praying to keep her at bay. And as she's praying, there's the pentagram signs being like drawn.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I mean, like it's not as gory as like it's not as
just
gory.
painful to watch.
Yeah, it's not like it's gory like the freaking scene from Creation where the fingers go like that, but it's it's unsettling like when she's praying and then like her habits being torn and the signs being drawn. Like it's so like it's just evil. That's the word I'm looking for. It's evil. And then it's like man, this demon's really messed up. And then when the jump scare that got me was like when they were all like they found out the nuns were all hallucinations and the nun's dead body was still staying there. And the girl's like, let's pray. Our Father. And then the body jumps out of nowhere like oh shit. I'm not sure if you remember that because like I watched it recently, so that's what got me.
There was a lot of those.
Okay.
Bodies jumping up.
I want to ask something, if that's okay. The Mary points the way thing. What do you think of that? Do you think it was dumb, stupid, or was that a good good way?
I thought it was interesting because it does tie into the Sister Irene was there for a reason. And like that, her line of Mary points the way that I believe it was she saw in a dream when she was younger, and it had always stuck with her. And then when they get down to I just thought it was kind of almost too coincidental that they brought it up right when they were next to the Mary with the light pointing off the finger that led to the blood of Christ. I did think that was kind of like, I almost wish they discussed it a little more throughout the film and then been like, it almost could have been something like Frenchie is like, what's this random statue of Mary doing down here? And then they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, that's what it stands for, instead of just kind of popped out of nowhere after not mentioning it since the beginning of the movie. Like they could have alluded to like, it's a sign like, the mother of Christ is looking over us. She'll always be here. She's watching out for us. But they just kind of like said it at the beginning, never said it again. And then boom, it just dropped right there. But I did think that was kind of cool how they did use her dream of Mary points the way in a religious fashion of she was there for a reason. Because if she hadn't been there to bring that up, they never would have found the blood. They never would have stopped the nun.
Yeah. I mean, like, I did like a twist. I mean, like, they could have, personally, the way they could have been executed was they mention it once, and when they see it, they don't mention it all. They say, oh, the sign, and like, okay, Mary points, and that's okay. And like, because like, I feel like that's a good twist, and that as you said, it makes sense because that means that specific nun was there for a reason, and I do like that twist. So. I also did like Frenchie. He was a really good character. I mean, like he could have stayed away, but he came back for. And I like to see in the bar where like if you go back there tomorrow, there'll be 2 more dead bodies. Frenchie's like, oh fuck, I gotta save them right now. So he goes back up there with a shotgun and like, what are you gonna do with that? It's a demon nun. You're gonna die. But he's so sweet, and then like you can tell like there's this sort of like friendship between her and the sister and Taisa Farmiga, but. Taisa Farmiga's a nun, so.
Her name is Sister Irene.
All right, sorry. Yes.
I love Frenchie. He's my version. He's the nun's version of Bob for me somehow. Bob from Annabelle Comes Home. I really liked his character. I like how they tied him in relation to it with regards to him finding the body of the nun and then them going to him and then us, and then he's also the connection to the Conjuring world. I really like the way they incorporated his entire character. But my favorite line here, the whole scene with when they find the vial of Christ with the cross and Father Burke is holding it up and they're all kind of in amazed, and then it's all quiet, and then Frenchie says, "Holy shit." And then Father Burke is like, the holiest. I just love that entire scene there. I love it so much. It's a comedic moment that was so perfectly placed And the part that made it so perfect was the Father Burke's response of saying the holiest. That was great. That is how you put comedy in horror movies, is putting it in the right moment of like, don't add it in when it's supposed to be scary. Add it in one of those moments there, you know? I just, when I saw that, I loved that part so much. That was a really, really cool thing. And the makeup was incredible. It was, the gore was disgusting and disturbing, and the whole like special effects makeup team did incredible, top notch, like in my opinion, Oscar worthy makeup there. It was so scary, and Taissa Farmiga did such a good job as Sister Irene. Just her physical acting, like the faces that she made, like you said, that scene where she's being cut with the pentagram, her acting there was incredible. She was crying and she was in pain and she didn't stop praying, and it was top notch, amazing. I was just, she did an incredible job, and she looks so much like Vera Farmiga.
She has that exact same look that Vera Farmiga does, where like they kind of both like have that like startled thing where like their eyes kind of like go wide and they kind of like lean forward and like have that weird look. They both have it. It's so funny to see.
Yes.
Yeah, if they ever want to do one with like a flashback of like young Lorraine, just grab Taissa Farmiga. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
I still can't believe, like, when I was watching her first in the movie and she's wearing in the non-habit, attire with like she's praying, she's being holy. I was like, I can't believe I thought you were hot in the bling ring, and you still are. Chad, if you know what I'm talking about, she was there, right?
What?
The ring.
Yeah, she was hot in both of them.
She was hot. You found her hot in the Nun?
Yeah, she looked cute
Oh
in the
my
beginning.
God. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this with the both of you right now. You're talking about hot nuns.
You were going goo goo gaga over Aquaman, Ben Affleck's butt. Don't even. We're allowed to say a nun can be hot. If Frenchie could say it, so can we.
Yeah.
You have no right to pass any judgment.
I'm not judging you. I agree.
Oh, yes, you are. I think at least one of us judges the others at least once per episode. I think that's just how it goes at this point.
Yeah. So, do you guys know what I meant though of saying that this scared me so much in such a different way than like The Conjuring or Annabelle did?
Yeah. Like this is more ethereal. I mean, like, if you look at it, really, I mean, Conjuring 1, there was a witch. Conjuring 2, it was a ghost until the very end, which was a demon. The Annabelle trilogy, it was a haunted doll. But this nun was more, it was more ethereal, it was more godly. It was a full-on demon the entire time for the movie. So I know what you're talking about when you said it's a different level of scary. Because it's like it's a demon throughout the entire movie. There's a demon from hell. Not a possessed doll, not a witch, not a ghost. It's a demon. So I understand where you're coming from.
I really liked Father Burke. I think he was a well done character. All of the three main characters, all three of them, were such a well established team and well established characters of like giving us a bit of a backstory, and also with Frenchie connecting, him being the connection to the Conjuring universe was really good too. And yeah, but Father Burke was really well acted, and his part was really well done of including him in it, and he was just a good character, and I liked him as well. And same with Sister Irene. Sister Irene was good, and the hallucinations of the other nuns was really, it confused me at first, but then I understood it once they figured it all out. And the entire finale scene of like the climactic moment when they finally close in the demon, and that was really well executed, and just I really liked it. It scared the fuck out of me. It scared me so much. It scared me a lot.
And that's why we do these, because we knew it would terrify you. That's why we decided on this franchise before you even joined the team. We had a feeling you were coming, and we were like, what can we do to terrify the shit out of roll number 3 when they join us in June?
Chad, I'm curious. You haven't really said anything specific that has really scared you. So what was your did you have
Nothing.
it what was your major big jump scare? You had to have at least one jump scare here.
Nothing in this movie scared me.
Come on.
I swear, nothing in this movie freaks me out. Like generally, like certain movies, like the first Conjuring, Annabelle Creation, stuff like those. I can't watch those before bed because they freak me out. The Nun, I think it's just because there's a little too much comedy in it. It lifts too much of the tone of me being scared because there's always either like a quick jump scare or some kind of comedic little quip that rips me out of the tone of the scene. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, the movie doesn't free like to me. It's the setting. It like we said, it's the monastery. That the setting is perfect for this, and it's a very eerie setting. But there's just nothing in this movie that genuinely scares me. I'm far more entertained by this movie. This movie is almost like Conjuring 2 to me. It entertains me far more than it can scare me. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like plenty of horror movies that are not scary because it's almost like another Annabelle Comes Home. It wasn't scary, but it was fun and it was entertaining when it comes to a scary movie. But The Nun the movie just didn't scare me, which I was fine with. I mean, I don't have to be scared by a horror movie to enjoy it, which is what I love. I love finding movies like that.
Yeah. Santino, what was your big scare moment? Was there any big part that really freaked you out?
As I said before, the one that really freaked me out was the one where she was praying and the pentagram was being cut. Because that wasn't like a jump scare, but it was just so evil, like this. I mean, like, I'm not gonna put symbolism to it, but like this nun who's so pure and like just wants to help people is praying for her salvation, and while she's doing that, a pentagram's being cut into her shoulder. It's just so fucked up. I mean, like, that's how I see it. It's a fucked up scene, and yeah, sorry for that.
Well, don't forget, she wasn't a nun yet. She hadn't taken her vows. She took her vows right after all of that was done. I thought that scene was pretty cool, where she was like, I'm almost at that crossroads where it's like I'm in the belly of the beast now. Shit's about to get real. We are about to take on the demon. It's either I go into this unprepared or I take my vows, officially become a nun, so I can go into this potential death trap nightmare as prepared as I possibly can be within my faith.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll say, when it comes to a scene that might freak me out, it was the flashback to Burke's exorcism of the boy during the war.
Yeah.
Because that was just, I mean, it's like between the kid screaming, save me, and getting just like thrown all over and just messed up. It's like, I almost would have said that could be a cool movie in itself, but it's like we already would have seen the best part of what that prequel movie would have been. So I think that scene probably freaks me out. Just watching the exorcism attempted on the kid.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually about to mention that that exorcism with the kid, and that, like I said, showing that was a really good way to give us a little backstory on Father Burke, and that's one of the things that moment was one of those moments of like, this movie was well made. When you go and give a backstory to your main characters, that's how you connect them. That's how you start feeling for them. Like, for example, when we're talking about Annabelle Comes Home, and at first I was like, I didn't like Daniela, but then I learned her story about her dad dying, and then it changed my opinion. Showing those backstories of characters in movies is what connects you somewhat with the characters and makes you understand the characters. When you just have this character that's there and don't really show anything about them, you have trouble connecting with the character, you know? Okay, so now why don't we give our final thoughts on The Nun? Chad, why don't you start us off? What are your finale thoughts there?
I had a lot of fun with it. I saw it twice in theaters. I watch it a decent amount of times on Blu-ray. I have a lot of fun with it. The jump scares are there, but you know what? I'm able to look past them because I really like all of these characters. I like the story they're involved in. I like the reason why they're at this monastery to stop it. So, and I love the score. I think this movie's got a lot to enjoy, and I don't think it deserves the hate that like Annabelle and La Llorona get.
Okay. What about you, Santino? What are your closing thoughts?
For me, I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning. You peel back the jump scares. Yes, they're annoying, and yes, they take this movie down a peg. You peel that back, and you still have a very good movie. You have a movie with interesting lore, good acting, compelling characters, and a really nice set design and music, and you have a really fun movie to watch. It's not the gold standard. It's not like The Exorcist for horror movies, but it's still a fun movie to watch. And yes, the jump scares are annoying. Yes, they are painful to sit through, but this movie is so much more than that. So in my opinion, yeah, The Nun doesn't deserve its hate. I personally feel like it's up there, not really the best, but it's in the middle, somewhere in the middle.
I like this movie a lot. You guys were right. This did scare me more than other ones, but on a different level, like we've mentioned a few times now. It the whole execution of the film was incredible, and they handled it so well. Acting was good, story plot was good, characters were well established. I wasn't confused by what happened. I really liked it. It was really good. Best best music of all of them, I would say. Yeah. So now we have covered all of the Conjuring universe movies so far. There is a third Conjuring that's supposed to come out soon. We don't know what's happening there with regards to when now because of the whole, world pandemic that happened. But when that does come out, we're definitely gonna at one point do a video what we think about that.
Yeah.
So well, we're gonna rank our thoughts on all these movies. Chad, why don't you start us off? What are your top ones and why?
All right. Well, I'm going to start from the bottom this time, just so we can be a little predictable, because everyone knows what my bottom two already are. So, so number 7, Curse of La Llorona, boring, forgettable, nothing to really discuss. Number 6, Annabelle, again, really nothing there. The only thing that puts it above La Llorona is I kind of enjoying seeing a little more story of the doll, but not really. So number 5, The Nun. Like we just discussed, really not much more to dive into. We just went over all of it. Number 4, Annabelle Comes Home. Like I said, not scary, lots of fun. Love the characters. I have a blast watching it. Number 3, The First Conjuring. The scariest of the bunch, also the most serious of the bunch. That's the only reason it hits the third spot, because it's probably the most well-made of all of them, I think. But when it comes to in terms of enjoyment, I'd prefer to watch number 2 and number 1 instead. Number 2, Conjuring 2. Again, it took everything that was good about the first one and it turned the second one more into of a story as opposed to kind of watching an actual situation that could happen. But again, Ed and Lorraine's chemistry shone through. I thought not Janice, the main girl, whatever her name was, I forgot. In Conjuring 2, I thought she did an amazing job. And just Conjuring 2, I thought just majorly delivered. And number 1, Annabelle Comes Home. Or not, Annabelle Creation. I think it's one of the most scary ones. I think it's one of the most fun. I think it's the most brutal. And I just think I think it's one of the best of like I think it's one of the best of the most recent horror films that have come out. And real quick, this is something I noticed tonight when we were talking about this. Every single one of these movies, they all have female leads. every single one had female leads, and they all did great jobs, I thought. And it's like, that's something when people say it in Hollywood, they're just like, oh, there's not enough, like, movies about, like, females and female leads. Look to the Conjuring franchise, people. It's all female leads for all 7 of them.
Oh
I
my
totally
God.
did not realize that.
I did not notice that. I
I
really
did
did.
only tonight because I was thinking when we were talking about La Llorona, and I'm just like, oh, another movie about the mom. And I'm like, wait, did none of these had male? They may have had like a male as like the second lead, but I was like, no, these were all female-led movies, every single one.
I love that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Even the bad ones have female leads.
Santino, what's your ranking here?
Okay, so I'm gonna start from worst to best because my worst is pretty predictable also. Number 7 at the very bottom of the barrel is the first Annabelle. It's boring. It has no redeeming factors. The one scary scene in this entire movie is the elevator scene, and the acting is atrocious. I hated it. It's awful. Number 6, La Llorona. A little bit higher because Linda Cardellini actually did a good job, in my opinion. And I think she deserved credit where credit is due. So it's higher than Annabelle, but it's still a shit show of a movie. It's so boring and it's painful. Number 5, don't shoot me for this, okay? Annabelle Comes Home. I really like Annabelle Comes Home a lot. I just find The Nun way more compelling. Number 4, The Nun is The Nun because it's better story, better characters, way more intriguing world. Number 3, Annabelle Creation, probably the best Annabelle of all of them, and it's really good scares, and I love it. But I think the second Conjuring is the first Conjuring is higher, and Conjuring 1 is the number 1 for me.
Okay. So my order is very different than yours. When I was deciding my order here, I was trying to think whether I wanted to go with the ones that terrified me the most, the ones that I decided that I was going to go with the ones that I had the most to talk about. So I'm going to go from worst to best as well. So number 7 is La Llorona. It was shit. It was boring. I had no interest in anything. I fell asleep. I almost fell asleep like Chad predicted. Number 6 was the first Annabelle. It wasn't anything special. It was higher than La Llorona because I was already a little bit interested in this general plot line because we got a hint of it in the first Conjuring movies. And then number 5 is Conjuring 1. I think the setup for it in regards to me being so nervous about having to watch all these horror films just kind of altered my opinion of it a little bit, and maybe if I go and watch it again that might change. And then number 4 is Conjuring 2. That one was better because I was less freaked out in my head, if that makes sense. And then number 3 is Annabelle Creation. That one scared me. That one scared me a lot, but it was so well done, and the characters interest me a lot, so that's why it's higher up. Number 2 is The Nun, just because, like I just said in all of this, it was great. And then number 1 is Comes Home, because
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
Comes Home. Annabelle Comes Home is number 1 for me because it almost. I know that I didn't watch this last, but it almost felt like a wrap up, and it connected me to the whole Conjuring plotline of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and interested me. It brought it all together. The characters were great. It didn't scare me, but I loved watching it, and I loved discussing it with you guys. Did you know that in the Annabelle episode we discussed Annabelle Comes Home longer than all the other ones?
Doesn't shock me.
Yeah. So yeah, that is my order. So yeah, that is our Conjuring month there. And the beginning of the month, we mentioned that we have a little surprise for you guys for the last episode of June, and we're gonna have Santino announce our little surprise. So why don't you tell them what we have planned?
I love this. I'm gonna warm up. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our surprise for the final week of June, one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever. Sorry, two of my favorite sci-fi movies ever. Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. I can't wait to talk about these. I'm gonna lead for this one because I just love it. All right. So we'll be seeing you soon, guys. I'm Santino signing off.
Guys, I'm Chad. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone. We're excited to see you next week and hope you all enjoyed tonight's episode. Please subscribe if you enjoy. We appreciate you all so much, and we hope you have a great day.